Hello there, physics students. Welcome to Educate. In this video, we will be doing the transformation matrix on a vector. So basically, you have already learned of how to represent a vector using its components. And in this case, we're going to be using a 3D Cartesian plane consisting of the z-axis, the y-axis, as well as the x-axis, which are all arbitrary. So basically, when we have got this red vector, which is known as a position vector that is originating here, it has got three components that are making it up. It has got a component along the x-axis, which is this blue one. It has got a component along the y-axis, which is the black one, as well as a component along the z-axis, though not represented by this diagram. So basically, we can write vector A using its component or using the triad ijk. Basically, you remember that the ax component, it must go in the I direction, right? Because it's along the x-axis. The ay must go in the j direction or in the direction of the j unit vector because it's along the y-axis. Then the az must go with the unit vector k. So basically, when we are talking about the transformation matrix, how do we even get to a matrix? First of all, when you have got a vector, you can rotate the coordinate system and still keep this vector constant. So just imagine this. This is a vector in this 3D Cartesian plane. If I hold this z-axis, just imagine the z-axis as a what? As a rod, right? If I hold this z-axis and I rotate it, I'm holding it, right? The vector is here and I'm rotating it. What is likely to happen here? So I want to rotate this z-axis in this direction. So I'm rotating the coordinate system, but I'm keeping the vector A constant, meaning that the red vector, it is staying in the same position. I'm not changing anything on the red vector. The red vector, I'm not doing anything to it, but I'm going to rotate the coordinate system about the z-axis. I'm actually taking the z-axis and I'm shifting it. Remember, the z-axis is connected to the x and the y. So basically, the x-axis, as I'm rotating the z-axis, it will shift slightly. Then the y-axis, as I'm rotating, it will also shift slightly at a certain angle. So let me just say that this, let's just define some trigonometric ratios between ax, a, as well as this other side. So I'm just going to take the magnitude of a here rather than the whole vector a for the sake of mathematical calculations. So basically, we need to remember that here, if we use our trigonometry, there is a right angle triangle here that we have at the xy plane, and we can say that to find ax, we can just say we're going to use cos theta to find ax. So cos theta is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. So basically, I can say that ax is equals to a cosine of theta. You'll do the mathematics there. And then if I want to find ay using the angle theta and using the side a, which is the hypotenuse, I can just say this ay is the same as this side. Remember that this geometry suggests that this ay on this side is the same as ay on this side. So if I just treat this side as ay, so I can say that ay would be equals to a sine of theta. Why did I use sine theta here? Because basically, if I do sine theta here, sine theta will be equals to ay, which is the opposite side, over the hypotenuse, which is the value of a, the magnitude of a. So if you just manipulate there, you're going to find that ay is equals to a sine theta. So after defining those, and now we can do our transformation. So let me just write this on the sides and move them so that I can make some space. So we can say that ax is equals to a cosine of theta and ay is equals to a sine of theta. So now I'm going to rotate my coordinate system now. And when I rotate my coordinate system, I've already said that when I rotate the z-axis, if the z-axis is attached to the x and the y, when I rotate it, this x-axis will move slightly with an angle. Then this y-axis will also move slightly with an angle. So basically, this means that my x-axis will be somewhere here. So my new x-axis will be somewhere here, which I will call x prime. So do you see what happened here? I rotated the coordinate system. Guys, imagine this. You are having this as the z-axis. you are having the x-axis and you are having a y-axis there. So the moment I rotate the z-axis, the x-axis will also rotate. So basically here, the x-axis has rotated from here to here. So I can say that it has rotated at a certain angle, which I will call phi. So basically, the angle phi, it is the what? It is the rotation angle. We say it's known as the rotation angle. And as I rotate the z-axis again, the y-axis will also shift slightly. Because remember that the z-axis, as it is standing upright, kanjani, we also have got the y-axis here, right? So imagine that they are attached to one another. The moment I rotate the z-axis, the y-axis is also going to shift. It's also going to change its position. So here, what will happen as I rotate the z-axis, the y-axis will also shift to a certain position, and the new y-axis, I will call it y prime. Now the angle at which this x-axis rotates, or the angle at which this x-axis changes, will be the same as the angle at which the y-axis changes as well. So this is going to be equal to angle phi. Now the thing is, the moment I rotate my coordinate system, the vector A, I'm keeping it constant, but I'm changing the coordinate system. Remember, the coordinate system, it is the one that will have the components AX, AY, and AZ. So basically, as I'm rotating the coordinate system while keeping these components, constant, what actually happens? This vector A will have new components. So basically, the vector A, it is still the same vector with the same magnitude, but it will have new components. Why is it having new components? It is because I've rotated the axis. Remember that the axis are the components, they are found on top of the axis, right? There's an x component on top of the x-axis. There's a y component on top of the y-axis, and there's z component on the top of the z-axis. So the moment I rotate my coordinate system, the moment I rotate the z-axis, the components of A will change because I'm keeping A constant, its magnitude, but the new components will be on this new axis. So I will call those components. So I will say vector A, it is still the same vector A, but it will have new components, which I will say it will be AX prime, which will be in the new x-axis in the I direction. Then it is also going to have AY prime, which will be in the new y direction, in this new y direction. Then I'm going to have AZ prime, which will be in the new z direction. So I want you to kind of forget about this AX because it's the old one. Before we rotated the system, this was the x components of vector A, but because we have rotated it, there is a new x component that will fall on this new x-axis. So basically, I will wrap this off so that you kind of forget that we had AX here. So let's just wrap this from a memory as well. So as we wrap this, so we are wrapping this component so that you kind of do not remember it. I want you to not remember this, just forget. So now we are going to have a new component, which I will call AX prime, which will fall on the new x-axis, the one that I've rotated. So there is supposedly here a new component, which will be AX prime. So this is the new component. And then on the y-axis, we are going to wrap off this old one because we have rotated the y-axis as well. So we're going to have a new y component, the one that will fall on the new y-axis, which I'll call y prime, AY prime. So now basically, as we rotate the coordinate system, what happens? The vector A, we are keeping it constant, but it will have new components. It is still the same vector A because we are keeping it constant, but it will have what? New components along the x, along the y. What about the z? Will it have a new component of z? Of course not. It won't have a new component of z because as we are rotating the z-axis, the z component is not affected. I mean, guys, imagine, let's just assume that the z component, before we rotated the system, it was maybe a 1 unit in the positive z direction. The moment I rotate this z-axis, nothing happens to this one. It's still the same component. The z-axis didn't change. The z-axis only rotated, right? But the x-axis, it was like this, but now it's like this. So the x-axis changed. The y-axis, it was like this, but now it has been rotated. Maybe it's like this. But the z-axis, the same component is still the same. It hasn't been changed. It's still going up. So basically, the z component is not changing as we are rotating our matrix about the z-axis. So here I'm going to say what? I'm going to say that the z component remains the same. So basically, az prime, I can write this statement and say az prime is still equals to az. I'm trying to say that even if I rotate this coordinate system, what will happen? The z component will not change of the vector, because basically the z position is, we are only rotating it, guys. If this marker represents the z component, here it is. This was the old vector. This is the z component. The moment I rotate the matrix, the z component is still at the same position, doesn't change. Get the sense, right? So now from here, after doing this, we can now try to solve the matrix. So the transformation matrix, how are we going to solve it here? Basically, the transformation matrix, we're actually trying to solve for the new components ax prime, ay prime, and az prime. And we've already said that the az prime component, it will still be the same as the az component, because as we are rotating along the z-axis, this one won't change. So we are done solving this one. So to solve these two, ax prime, we need to use some new trigonometry once again. So to solve ax prime, remember ax prime is the new component of vector A along the new x-axis, which is the x prime axis, the one that has been rotated, right? The new x-axis at the new position, right? So now basically, if we use the same trigonometry there, I'll just rewrite here, this is my ax prime. So if I use the same trigonometry there, we still remember that this angle is still 90 degrees, right? This angle is still 90 degrees as well, because basically as we are rotating here, this will still remain as 90 degrees by geometry. And then this can still be the ay prime side. This is still ay prime. Okay, from here to here, this is still the same as from here to here. Basically, we've just rotated the system. Just kind of rotate also it in your mind. So basically, how can you solve ax prime? Using trigonometry here, to find this side using this angle here. So what is the angle between this new component and the vector A? So we can analyze here and say the angle between the old x-axis, it was theta with vector A. And then this has shifted, the axis has shifted by an angle of what? Of phi. So what is the angle now between the new component and the red one? I repeat again, look at this carefully, very, very carefully. I say it here. The angle between the red vector and the old x-axis was theta. But now I have changed the x-axis. I have rotated it such that it is rotated with an angle of phi away from the original one. So I'm now looking for the angle between the new component that is on this new x-axis and the vector A, so that I can be able to solve for ax prime. So basically you can see that from here to here is theta, and from here to here is phi. So theta is coming from here all the way to here, and this is from here to here is phi. So for us to find this angle, what are we going to do? Theta minus what? Minus phi. So basically we're going to say that this angle here is going to be theta minus phi. And now for me to be able to solve this component, this is still ax prime. This blue line, it is still ax prime, which is the new x component of vector A. So now I'm just going to use trigonometry and say this is adjacent to this angle theta minus phi. So if I just use this triangle here, there's a triangle here, guys. This is a triangle. All of this is a right angle triangle. Okay, this is the 90 degrees. So this must be the hypotenuse. This is the angle, the base angle, which is theta minus phi. So basically, if I say cos of theta minus phi, so I will say cos of theta minus phi here, cos of theta minus phi, cos of theta minus phi has to be equal to the adjacent side, which is ax prime, over the hypotenuse, which is a. So basically, in other ways, for me to find ax prime is going to be equal to, if I just multiply here, ax prime is going to be a times cos of theta minus phi. So for me to find ax prime, this is going to be a cos of theta minus phi. Then if we expand this, we can expand this to be able to solve for ax prime, the new x component, this blue one. How can we expand this? You need to remember from your grade 12 that you did the cosine compound angle expansion. So there's a minus there, and if we are doing a cosine expansion, remember this is going to be ax prime is equals to a is outside, then this is going to be cos of theta, cos of phi, and since this is theta minus phi, so this must be plus sine of theta, sine of phi. It is. So this is how you expand a compound angle formula. This a is a constant, it will multiply the entire thing. The expansion of cos theta minus phi will be cos theta, cos phi. Since there's a minus here and this is cosine compound angle formula, you need to change the minus to be a plus. Then that's going to be plus sine theta, sine phi. Then from here, you're just going to distribute the a there. So you can just say in simple terms, ax prime is equals to a cos theta, cos phi, plus sine theta, a sine theta, sine of phi. But this is one thing that you need to remember about the old components. The old components of ax was equals to a cos theta, and ay was equals to a sine theta. The old components before we rotated the matrix, before we rotated this coordinate system. So now that we have rotated the coordinate system, now how can we relate these two? Basically, the ax is equals to a cos theta, right? And you can see a cos theta from this equation, right? And then ay is equals to a sine theta, and you can see a sine theta from this equation. So I can just come here and say that, therefore, ax prime, the new component ax prime is going to be, instead of a cos theta, I'm going to now write ax. So this is going to be ax cosine of phi. And then instead of writing a sine theta, I'm now just going to replace that with ay. So that's going to be plus ay sine of phi. So this is the final expression that we can use to find the new ax component, right? The new component of this red vector. This is the red vector, right? So the new component, which is ax prime, we can express it using that. So let me just move this so that I can make space, and this is going to be equal to, so I can just write it down here and say that ax prime is equal to this ax cos of phi plus ay sine phi. So we are done with finding the x component. So this is number 2. We first started with the z component to say that it won't change. It will still be the same as the old z component of a. And then now we've expressed the new x component of a, and then now we are going to find the y component of a. So how are we going to find the y component, which will be ay prime? So the new y component of a in this new rotated matrix. So from our geometry here, we can just use this old geometry, because remember we said that if this is the x component here, I'll just draw it again. If this is ax prime, the new x component, and this is ay prime, which is the new y component, we can just treat this side and this side as equal to one another in a sense. Okay, so basically this is ay prime. This is what? This is ay prime. So this ay prime, it is this component here. It's just a component here. It's running out of colors here, but basically this ay prime component, this one, it is the same as this one. if you look at the geometry carefully there. So by observing that, we can see that AY prime, it is actually opposite to this angle, which is theta minus phi. This AY prime, which is the new Y component of vector A, is the new one after rotating, right? After rotating this whole coordinate system. So basically this AY prime is opposite to theta minus phi. So we can use sine of theta minus phi to express it and say sine of theta minus phi is equal to, sine is equal to opposite. The opposite is AY prime, and then over the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse must be this side because it's opposite to this 90 degrees angle. So it's over the size of A, or the magnitude of A. So basically we can say that here AY prime is equals to A sine of theta minus phi. So we can find AY prime by taking A and multiplying it with sine of theta minus phi. So now from this, we just need to expand and get straight to our answer. How do we expand the sine compound angle formulae? Remember, basically, sine compound angle formulae, we use sine cos, cosine. That's just the trend. So basically here, we can say that here to find our A prime, we're just going to say A into what? Into sine theta cos phi. Since there's a minus, remember when we are expanding the sine compound angle formulae, where there's a minus, we're still going to write minus as well. It's not like cos whereby you oppose, right? So this is going to be minus what? Minus a cos theta sine phi. So this is sine cos cosine, and the sign remains the same, as in like the sign minus or plus, right? So from here, we can just say this A will multiply inside. So we can say that our AY prime will be equals to A sine theta cos phi minus A cos theta sine phi. All right. So from here, now we just need now we just need to re-express using this. Remember that we need to remember that in the old components, AX is equals to A cos theta and AY is equals to A sine theta. And from here, this new expression of this new component of Y, basically, we have A sine theta here, we have A cos theta here. So basically, A sine theta, A cos theta, they can be replaced with AX and AY respectively. So basically here, I can just say, instead of writing A sine theta here, okay, instead of writing A sine theta here, A sine theta can be replaced with AY. So this is AY cosine of phi, and then A cos theta can be replaced with AX. So this is AX sine of phi. So from here, now we can be able to express this as a matrix. So I'll just rewrite AY prime. So I will rewrite my AY prime and say my AY prime's final expression. So if I just rewrite here, the final expression for AY prime is equals to AY cos of phi minus AX sine of phi. Here we go. So now we have all our new components. Let's start with the first one. We have got the X component, the new X component. We can find it using this formula. We have got the new Y component, this one. We can find it using this formula. And then the Z component, we say that it does not change since we are rotating about the Z axis. So the Z component, it is just AZ prime, which is still equals to AZ. Now we can represent this using matrices because you guys learned of matrices back then. So you know how to put this information in an array of values. So since you've learned of matrices in calculus 2 and all of those linear algebra modules, basically we can be able to represent all these three linear equations using a matrix. So if we create a matrix that will be able to find the new X component, the new X component, the new Y component, and the new Z component. Remember, basically a matrix, it has got rows and columns, whereby columns represent values that are having the same unit vector, such as x, such as y, such as z. So basically here, since we're dealing with a 3D Cartesian system, we can use x, y, z as well. So basically the first column, I will say it is for x, the second column is for y, and the third column is for z. Space constraints. So basically you will see, because you have eyes, so this is x, y, z. So each column must have what? Must have values. So when you look carefully here, the first equation for ax prime, I'm sure this is ax prime, this is ax prime. The first equation says ax cos phi, ay sin phi. Do you see that? And then basically what we can do to represent these in a matrix, we can just say here, we can see that the x part is multiplied to cos phi, right? So we can write under x, we can write cosine of phi. And then we can see that here, the y part, ay, it is multiplied to sine phi. So under y, we can write what? We can write sine of phi. And then on the ax prime equation, do we have anything that has to do with the z component? Nothing. So that is equals to 0. So we're just going to write these components in that order: ax, ay, and az. If you do matrix multiplication here, it will make sense, because this will be cos phi times ax, this one, plus sin phi times ay, this one, plus 0 times az, which will give us this equation exactly. So we just represented it using what? A matrix. I repeat again, I'm not teaching calculus here, but I will repeat again. So we are saying that we are taking this system of linear equations, these three linear equations, these three straight line equations, we are representing them using a matrix x, y, and z, whereby x, this is the column for the x values, this is the column for the y, this is the column for the z values. Look at this. This is the first equation, ax prime. This is ax prime. To be able to solve for ax prime, you have got ax, the old x component of a, cos of phi. So under x, you can put cos of phi, and here you can put ax. Okay, and then this is plus ay sine of phi. So under y, you can put sine phi, and here you can follow with what? With ay, because you know matrix multiplication, right? That's your responsibility to know. So basically, the z1 is 0 because we don't have anything that has got an az component in this first equation. Now let's do the same. Express the second one. This is ay prime, right? This is ay prime. Ay prime, you can see that the ay is multiplied to cos phi. Be careful on this one. This ay is multiplied to cos phi. So basically, under the column of y, that's where we're going to have what? That's where we're going to have cos phi. So I'm going to write cos phi under the y column. And look at this. This is negative ax sine theta. So basically, under x, we're having negative sine theta. So basically, under x, we're having negative, or sine phi, I mean. So that's sine phi for you. So negative sine phi. And in the same equation, do we have anything that has to do with z? No, there's no z component there. So the z component must be equals to 0. When we do matrix multiplication, once again, there's going to be negative sine phi times ax, which will give us this. And then this is going to be cos phi times ay, which will give us this. And then this is going to be 0 times az, which will give us 0. And then the third part, let's see. The third part, do we have anything that has got x? No, that's 0. Do we have anything, the third equation, do we have anything that has got y? The ay component, nothing. You don't make up your own things. There is nothing, is 0. Do we have anything that has got the az component? Yes. And how many? What is the coefficient basically on that thing? It is 1. So this is the transformation matrix when we are rotating about the z-axis. And we are rotating in which direction? Anti-clockwise. Remember that we rotated our z-axis in this direction, right? We rotated it like this. So that's anti-clockwise rotation. So this transformation matrix, you use it for what? For anti-clockwise rotation about the z-axis. So there are many other more combinations that you will do. So it's now your task to do the rotation matrix when you are rotating clockwise and anti-clockwise about the x-axis, about the y-axis. So basically, we just did only for the z-axis, and bear in mind this is anti-clockwise. So when you are going to rotate clockwise, it's not going to be the same thing. But I'll just tell you, I'll just give you the metrics when you are rotating clockwise about the z-axis, meaning that instead of rotating your z-axis in that direction, you are rotating it in this direction. It won't be the same. So basically, when you are rotating in this direction, it just means that there is a different angle or there's a negative angle. So I'll just write it for you because maybe I can. So what if I want to rotate my z-axis in the clockwise direction? You see, that's clockwise, right? Remember, we derived for the anti-clockwise. So for the clockwise, a rotation, I will rotate it in that way. So my x-axis will come here, my y-axis also come here. Okay, so as I'm doing that, how do I change? What's the difference here between clockwise and anti-clockwise rotation? It's simple. You are only changing the angle's sign. Remember, basically, when we are rotating clockwise, we usually use a negative angle, basically. But okay, just treat it as a 3D one. So basically, here, when we are rotating anti-clockwise, we use a positive angle. When you are rotating anti-clockwise, and when we are rotating clockwise, we use what? We use a negative angle. Okay, anti-clockwise is something like this. You will see there. Anti-clockwise positive, clockwise negative. You must have learned that from trigonometry. Definitely go and ask your maths teachers. Basically, when we are rotating anti-clockwise, that's a positive angle of theta, or the positive angle that you are rotating with. In this case, you rotated with phi, angle phi. So when you are rotating in the clockwise direction, that's going to be a negative angle. So you are just going to change this angle to be negative. So if you change that angle to be negative, if you do an anti-clockwise rotation, the matrix that you will use, ax prime, ay prime, az prime, will be similar to this one. It's just that you're just going to put a negative angle. This is cos of phi. Just say cos of negative phi. Cos of negative phi is just going to be what? Why are we making the angle negative in the first place? Remember, we are rotating clockwise. When there's clockwise rotation, the angle is negative. I repeat, guys, the negative, you don't put it because you like, you put it because you're rotating in the clockwise direction. So here, when you're rotating in the clockwise direction, you set the angle theta to be negative, this angle phi in Jalo to be negative. So as phi is negative, cos of a negative angle is the same thing as positive cos. So this will still be cos of phi. There won't be any difference. But here, if you set the angle to be negative on sine phi, sine of negative phi will give you what? Negative sine phi. You know this, guys. Sine of negative angle phi will give you negative sine phi. Yes, you know this. So basically, this will be negative sine phi. And this one is not affected by any angle. It will still be 0. And then if you put a phi that is negative here, this is negative sine phi, right? So if you say negative sine of, instead of writing phi, we say we're going to change all our angle phi's to be negative because we are rotating to the clockwise. So basically, this is going to be sine of negative phi. Negative sine negative phi. Remember, sine of negative phi is negative sine phi. So since we're having a negative here, so this will be negative times negative sine phi, which will give you positive sine phi. And then from here, cos of, if you replace phi here with a negative phi, cos of a negative angle is still going to be positive cos. So this will still remain as cos of phi. This will be 0, this will be 0, this will be 0, this will be 1. So you use this one when you are doing a what? When you are doing a clockwise rotation. So this is a clockwise rotation, but this is still about the z-axis. It means that you are rotating your coordinate system in the clockwise direction. Practically said, you are rotating it in the clockwise direction, meaning that your x-axis, maybe this was your x-axis, this marker is the x-axis. The moment I rotate it, you see the x-axis is now facing this direction. So the components will now change as well. So you use this. When do you use it? Now, when do you use this? You use this to calculate the new components of vector A, because I've said if you keep the vector constant but you rotate the coordinate system, the components of vector A will change to ax prime, ay prime, and az prime, and you use these to calculate it. So basically, this part must be multiplied with ax, ay, az. Don't have space there, but I'm sure you see it in your minds. So basically, ax, ay, az, you multiply that with that. So basically, you use this. And in a practical world, this is used quite often because basically, as I'm moving in front of the camera is constant, but my coordinate system is changing. So there must always be a rotation matrix that is made when the photograph is made as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. In our next videos, we will be doing practice problems on the transformation matrix. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends to also stay tuned.